Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. So first off, I have to point out, look at this gorgeous fall color. Look at this gorgeous fall color. Look at this gorgeous fall color. And all around me and all around town, there is absolutely gorgeous fall color going on. And that is because we have had the coldest fall that I can remember from living here. Normally, we are in about the 60s to 70s at this time. Right now, we're about in the 50s. And I know all of you on the East Coast, you're getting all of our warm weather with the 60s and the 70s, and we're getting down to the 30s at night, which is absolutely crazy. But silver lining to all of that is that I really get to enjoy the gorgeous, gorgeous fall color on all the trees all around town. So having said that, my plan for today is to stake my beautiful brand new Oklahoma Redbud that I planted about 2 weeks ago. So when I purchased this tree from a local nursery a couple weeks ago, it came in a 15-gallon nursery pot, and it had this big bamboo stake tied very tightly to the trunk. And this stake goes all the way down to the root ball. So I'm no expert on planting trees and staking trees. I have a very small property and I don't have a lot of opportunity to plant trees. But that does mean that I do have time to research it and find out the right way to do it, and then the reasoning behind the right way to do it. And then I can share it with all of you. So staking is a practice used to support newly planted trees that haven't had time for its root system to expand out into the surrounding area yet. It is an important practice, however, it is often done incorrectly and unnecessarily. Specifically, trees are often staked way too tight that doesn't allow for any movement, which actually delays the trunk growth and the root growth. It's kind of like when you harden off your seedlings. The purpose for hardening off your seedlings is to expose them to temperature and the wind so that those seedlings can develop that hard outer cambium layer so that they can be nice and strong to grow outdoors. Same thing goes with trees. If you stake a tree too tight, it's never going to signal the tree to develop its root system or to develop the trunk girth so that it's strong enough to survive once you take the stakes off. So staking is an important practice, and when you need it, you really do need it, and it's going to help the health of the tree, and it's going to help the tree develop into a nice, strong specimen that can withstand environmental factors, wind, traffic, kids running into it, all of that kind of stuff. But it is important to remember that it's better to understake a tree than overstake a tree. So you can plant a tree and you might not even need to stake it. So when should you actually stake your tree? How do you know whether or not you have to stake your tree? Well, here are 5 considerations you can think about to know whether or not you should think about staking your tree. Number 1, your tree is exposed to lots of wind or lots of traffic. Traffic such as lawnmowers or kids with frisbees or soccer balls, or maybe a sidewalk with people walking, or gardeners with rear ends that might bump into the tree as she's walking around and planting other things in the garden. Number 2, if your tree is planted on a slope. If it's on a slope, it's going to automatically tend to lean over along with that slope. So that might be a situation where you automatically need to stake your tree. Same thing goes if you plant your tree and your tree has actually grown a little crooked in its nursery pot. You might automatically need to stake a tree because your plant is crooked as soon as you plant it. Number 4, you can actually take the trunk and gently shake it back and forth. If the root ball, even after packing it in and watering it in, still shifts side to side in its new spot, in its new home, the soil surrounding it just might not be sturdy enough to support that tree, and that might be a situation that needs to be staked, along with if you have very sandy soil. Sandy soil is of course not as stable as clay soil or even loamy soil, so if you have very sandy soil, you might think about staking your tree automatically. Now, just like it's important not to kill your tree with kindness for staking, you don't want to leave the stake on for too long. The recommendations are really a maximum 6 months to a year, maybe 1 growing season only, and then you want to take that stake off and leave that tree to grow on its own. Now for my redbud, when I planted it, it was perfectly straight, not planted on a slope, the root ball's not shaking back and forth, and I don't have sandy soil. What I do have is I have high winds and I have high traffic, particularly my rear end getting in the way. And honestly, landscape professionals in my area, I've talked to a couple of them, including the nursery that sold me this redbud tree, and everybody recommended the same thing, staking to protect it against high traffic and wind. So that's my plan for today. I'm gonna stake this tree. I went to my garden center and I purchased this staking kit. It's called a lodgepole staking kit. It was so easy and it wasn't expensive at all. I think the hardest part is gonna be getting it into the ground on either side of the root ball. So because I'm staking my tree due to high wind, what you want to do is you want to put your stakes perpendicular to the direction of wind. Our prevailing wind comes from, it's called the delta breeze. The breeze comes from the delta, which is it's a collection of waterways or rivers that are kind of southwest of me. So that's where most of the wind comes. So my plan is to put the stakes kind of here and here so that when the wind comes up and over my house, it's going to support the tree in that direction. If you're dealing with high wind or high traffic, 2 stakes is usually the way to go. If you're dealing with a leaning tree, usually you can get away with just 1 stake to bring it back into a straight position. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove all the temporary staking material, particularly this big bamboo stake right here. As I shake it, the leaves are all falling off. You guys, we are losing light so fast. It's only like 4 o'clock and it is already almost dark. Okay, so the stakes are in. Yes, they're massive for this tree, but that is what came with it. These are 8-foot stakes. They also come in 10-foot sizes. I'll try and link the kit that I had. I'll try and link it below, but they came with these zip it tree ties, which I think are really cool because they're actually reusable. They're zip ties, but you can lift the tab and then actually reuse the zip tie if you ever need it to stake a tree again. So basically, now that I have this tree kit, this tree staking kit, I'll be able to use it after I take it off this Redbud this upcoming season this year. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in a figure 8 and interlock the figure 8s together to make it nice and supportive. Okay, so you can see that the tree can still move. It still has lots of motion. So if we get a big windstorm, this tree is still gonna sway back and forth, which will stimulate the trunk growth as well as the root growth. However, if it gets too much wind, it's not gonna fall over because these stakes are supporting it, which is really important. Or if I bump into it, I'm gonna bump into the stake most likely first. All right, so tree is all staked. Thanks to Jason for helping me out once again. I hope you all enjoyed this video and I hope you all have a chance to get into your garden today.